where you want to give up, right? बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ, right? Because अगर आपको बहुत इतना hate मिलता है, troll करते हो लोग, and funnily लड़कियां भी troll करती थी, ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ लड़के
Mm.
ही troll करते थे. My then boyfriend looked at the picture and said, "Oh, this is so cool. You should do something called rickshaw wali." And in the
Mm.
beginning, I will tell you, it was very difficult because there wasn't much support of people because most people were against me, saying,
Hi guys, welcome to Z Media India.com. My name is Simran Keswani, and today with us we have a very talented individual who's an actor, a full-time content creator, and also a comedian. Many of you might know her by the name Riksha Wali. Welcome, Anisha Dixit. Thank you so much for being with us today.
"Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here with all of you guys."
Same here. So, Anisha, before we dive deep into the questions, I first want to know कि जो नाम है Rikshe Wali, how did you come up with that? What's the story behind it?
See, actually, that's a very long story. So I've been a content creator for 10 years. I literally crossed 10 years last year. So I'm an OG content creator. You can see that.
Wow,
So I
yes.
started in a so the name Rickshaw Wali actually came by accident. So I was traveling in a rickshaw 10 years ago and suddenly took a few selfies in the rickshaw and then later on looked at it. And then my then boyfriend looked at the picture and said, "Oh, this is so cool. You should do something called Rickshaw Wali." I'm like, "Kya?" It's like, because there's so many rickshaw walas, but there's no rickshaw wali. And that is actually, how I started and came up with the name literally in a rickshaw. And so,
Wow.
how Harry Potter says the wand chose the sorcerer, the rickshaw chose me.
Amazing. That's actually quite unique and catchy name. So Anisha, like I have seen a lot of your videos, and I remember you mentioning that you've been born and brought up in Germany, Switzerland.
Mhm.
So I want to know this from you that how did you come to India then? Because usually people go to abroad to pursue their studies or career, but you came to India. So how did that happen?
Yeah, I did the opposite, guys. So the thing is, I feel my roots always were calling me. That is one. And there's no better place than India. That's what I feel. And so
Mm.
the reason why I came to India back then is like many people, I wanted to be an actor in Bollywood. And so I came here, I did many auditions, and I was trying and trying, but somehow the door wasn't opening. And eventually, I stayed here. I found Riksha Wali, and that's how I ended up staying here. And that's the reason why I came
Wow.
from Germany all the way to India. At heart, I'm still very much Desi, but of course, my mother tongue is German.
Yeah. Okay. So I remember you mentioning this also in your video that, while you were studying in the acting school, you were living this dual life because your
Hmm.
father didn't know that you were going for acting. So I want to know this from you कि, usually जब आपको घर से वो support नहीं मिलता है, तो people
Hmm.
get a little demotivated. लेकिन looking at you, I can say, that you always knew that you're gonna ace in this path. तो क्या आपको हमेशा से पता था कि आपको acting करनी है?
See, I will say two things to this. Number one, I did not think I would actually make it, to be very honest. I think किसी को पता रहता नहीं है that, whatever path you chose, you don't know where you're going to end up, right? But somehow, deep down, I always wanted to be an actor. So when I studied acting, I didn't know will I actually make it. Of course, सपने थे, मुझे बनना था तो actor. But जब मैं रिक्शा वाली जब मैंने शुरू किया था ना, अंदर से कुछ तो एक आवाज मुझे बोल रही थी कि नहीं यार, कुछ कुछ तो है इसमें. उस time पे there weren't
Hmm.
many people also on YouTube, right?
Right.
We didn't have Instagram reels and all back then. But somehow I still continued. There was a lot of people were telling me, ki, what is this rickshaw wali? Don't do it. My parents, my wasn't weren't, I mean, they were very supportive, but family in general, of course, doesn't understand because if you haven't ever seen anything like it,
Yeah.
I don't blame them either, right? Because how can I tell them, ki,
Absolutely.
support me, believe in me, if they don't know what this is? There's no reference, अगर आप बोलते हो कि you want to be a lawyer, a doctor, there's a lot of examples of it. But being a YouTuber called Riksha Wali, that doesn't
Right.
exist. So I don't feel bad about it, but still I went with it and I just did it. And, today I'm here after 10 years, still making YouTube,
It's
Instagram
great.
videos, and very happy.
Yes.
Sometimes you just follow your
Um,
heart. My heart was saying it, and that's why I'm here today.
yeah. Right. So, my next question was, of course, about challenges only. So, like you said, when you started yourself in this career, there were not a lot of people who were making content like yours. So, I want to know the challenges you faced, especially as a woman, who was in the comedy genre, because there were not a lot of people who were doing that.
In the beginning, 10 years ago, it was a very different scene than you see today. Today, you open Instagram and there's a million women, girls speaking up for themselves, and which is
Right.
amazing, which is exactly what I wanted, all these 10 years. I always, consider myself as the mother in a way of content creation, in a way. Of course, not fully.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one. I'm not taking the credit, but because I started 10 years ago, when there was no one online. I mean, you would say you would have AIB, TVF, who also started in the same year as I did, but there were mostly male voices out there, and there weren't many
Right.
female voices out there, which also triggered me, ki I want to put out my perspective, my opinion, problems girls face. And in the
Hmm.
beginning, I will tell you, it was very difficult because there wasn't much support of people because most people were against me saying, ki, how being a woman, how are you voicing your opinion, right? So I was dealing with
Hmm.
all of that, trying to make my way through. And even though, I was getting demotivated and a lot of hate came towards me, still, as I mentioned, right, dil mein wo awaaz bol rahi thi ki nahi yaar, kuch to hai, you gotta push. And so thankfully, after so many years now, there's so many girls that come up to me as well. To so many Gen Z creators today come to me and they say, Anisha, because we've watched you, we've had the courage to create content. And
Yeah.
when someone tells me that, that actually fulfills my purpose. Because that was my
Right.
purpose. My purpose
Exactly.
was to, bring more women online, have more female perspectives, and just make it a more equal digital space. And I think it has worked so far.
Yes, absolutely. So जैसे आप बात करते हैं challenges की, as a women, तो आप कोई example दे सकते हो the challenges that you faced initially?
So initially, सबसे पहले तो of course family का challenge. Family से पहले actually creation का challenge, क्योंकि अगर आपको पता है मेरा नाम रिक्शा वाली है, रिक्शा में शूट करना, अभी मैं उसका एक चैलेंज आपको एक बार बताऊंगी तो वो अलग ही चैलेंज है ऑल टुगेदर. But most of the time, when you shoot in a rickshaw and outside, people don't know what you're doing, people not understanding what you're doing, still
Hmm.
overcoming your inhibition. Sorry, there's some construction noise happening yet again. इसके लिए शायद कोई
No
आवाज
worries.
नहीं आ रही पीछे से.
Hmm.
So I think just crossing the inhibition and doing something that is not normal was a
Hmm.
challenge, a big challenge, shooting on the street, today you see इतने सारे मतलब लोग कंटेंट मतलब रिंग लाइट के साथ शूट करते, ट्राइपॉड के साथ शूट करते, कहीं पे भी उठा के, राइट, एंड इट्स नॉर्मल. तो कहते हैं ये तो रील
Yeah.
बना रहा है, ये तो वीडियो बना रहा है, राइट, अब तो ठीक हो गया. उस टाइम पे पीपल ये क्या हो रहा है, पूरी जनता जमा हो जाती थी कि क्या कर रही है. It was very
Uh,
awkward because so many people look at you as well. So that was the first challenge I think which I faced, and today anything can happen. I don't have fears anymore around that. I have crossed all my inhibitions now, because
hmm.
I've done that. Secondly, it's the family, as I mentioned. I think family not understanding exactly what you're doing, why you're doing that, and supporting you to an extent. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I don't really blame them because they didn't know what I was doing and what content creation is. Um, and I think the third challenge is being a woman online and trying your way through all the male creators. It was heavily male invested, the entire digital
Right.
space. So I think finding your space, finding your voice, not getting demotivated, was one of the hardest challenges for me. But today, again, look at where we are, and we have all
Right.
multicultural, multi-language, women, male, all everybody's online. So that's really great. I'm very happy.
Absolutely same. So ये question है जो मैं सबसे पूछती हूँ सारे content creators से कि when
Hmm,
you put yourself out on a social media platform, you're kind of open to opinion of everybody. So I think
hmm,
trolling and negativity is a part and parcel of social media.
yeah.
So there's one section of society which is very nice, very loving, and they take inspiration from you. But there's other
Hmm.
section of society which can be really mean that they don't even realize that there's a human sitting right across the screen. So have you dealt with trolling and how did you really come out of it?
I think trolling is a part and parcel of being online. I think अगर आप online आना चाहते हैं and expecting everybody will be just happy, then that's a very imaginative world. Of course, I've been trolled as well as many other content creators. And I will tell you in the beginning, again, I've been doing this for 10 years now.
Yeah.
In the very start, when you also don't have any reference really, right? Because अभी के time में बहुत लोग content बना रहे हैं, right? So everybody can learn from each other, talk to each other, right? Back then, I had no one to talk to. I had no one who was going through something like this. So the challenge back then was way different. So I was facing the time where you want to give up, right? बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ, right? Because अगर आपको बहुत इतना hate मिलता है, troll करते हो लोग, and funnily लड़कियां भी troll करती थी, ऐसा नहीं कि सिर्फ लड़के
Hmm.
ही troll करते थे. Um,
Yeah.
so it was very demotivating for me when I stopped. But yet again, दिल की आवाज ने बोला कि नहीं, रोकना नहीं है, आगे बढ़ना है. And eventually, I actually came up with a slogan called the love punch. I don't use it as much anymore, but back then I came up with this love punch, which was basically a loving punch to my haters, because haters
Hmm.
end में क्या है? Haters end में actually human beings. They also have feelings, and they're probably at home, being frustrated about their own lives, and seeing
Right.
someone doing something else in life, and thriving online. They feel jealous. We don't know what it is, right? So I started giving
Yeah.
them loving punches and giving them love, and you won't
Hmm.
believe, haters turned into lovers afterwards. It
Oh,
was quite
wow.
funny. It was very
Yeah.
funny because most of the haters, I mean, see, they're not haters, they're human beings who just want attention and love.
Right.
And eventually, when you give
Right.
them some love, then there you go, they become supporters as well. So I think we're all equal, we're all humans, so it's fine. And I'm
Right.
and I'm now
But I
not
think
really affected by it anymore.
ऑल्सो जैसे हम बात करें कि अब इंडस्ट्री काफी इवॉल्व हो चुकी है आई थिंक स्पेशली
Hmm.
आफ्टर लॉकडाउन देयर हैज बीन अ सडन सर्ज इन द digital creators, the number of digital creators, and there are so many content creators now, like Dharna came at this time, Sakshi,
Hmm.
Sindhwani came at this time. There are so many people.
Yes.
तो
Great,
कभी आपको
amazing
ऐसे लगता है,
creators.
या तो कभी आपको ऐसे लगता है कि हाउ वुड यू शाइन थ्रू इन द पूल ऑफ सो मेनी अदर इन्फ्लुएंसर्स और क्रिएट कंटेंट व्हिच इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम अदर पीपल?
I actually, as I mentioned earlier, right, for me, my aim was कि और लड़कियां आए और फीमेल क्रिएटर्स आए. So मेरा ऐसा कभी रहा नहीं कि यार मैं कब शाइन करूंगी. मैं I don't see anybody as a competition, because यार इतने लोग हैं, there are so many people, there is so much content that can be made. There's an audience for everybody. And isn't that so beautiful when you see, like when you see nature? I know it sounds thoda sa, again, thoda deep, but there are so many different flowers, so many different trees. So similarly, online भी तो यही हो रहा है, right? So I think I have my identity, Dharna as hers, Sakshi as hers, Prajakta, amazing content creator, of course,
Yeah.
my budding friend,
Right.
have their own ways of how they make content. And
Hmm.
I'm so proud of each and every one of them. And I think the only thing we all have to make is just always see them as a way to become better, to improve
Hmm.
yourself. What can I do better? I can learn from them as well, right? It's never late to learn. I mean, I've been
Right.
in industry for 10 years, but doesn't mean I'm know it all. I don't know anything. So if I see Dharna, if
Hmm.
I see Sakshi, Prajakta, anybody, there's so many more. I always feel like, yeah, I can learn from them. I see how amazing they are doing. And it's such a great challenging yourself every day is so beautiful, I feel, right? You don't want to be the
Right.
same. You want to always think, अब क्या कर सकते अच्छा ऐसा भी कर सकते हैं,
हाँ.
so I think I think it's a great time to be in, to be honest.
Hmm. That's a very beautiful way of thinking, beautiful thoughts. And also मुझे ये जानना है एंड में कि जब आप ट्रोलिंग से डील कर रहे होते हो तो आप तो डील कर ही रहे होते हो लेकिन आपके घर वालों पे भी इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है. तो
Of course.
लाइक हाउ डिड यू डील विद दैट, लाइक अगर आपके पेरेंट्स पे इम्पैक्ट पड़ा उसकी वजह से, क्योंकि आप तो कंटेंट क्रिएटर हो, यू हैव साइंड अप फॉर इट,
Hmm.
बट योर पेरेंट्स
Hmm.
हैवंट.
So the interesting thing is that it 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 does bring a toll on you. See, I wasn't living with my parents back then. So because I'm from Germany, right? My parents were in Germany, I was in India. And so it wasn't as much of an issue for me. But I feel eventually when you have family and people also like knowing that you're a content creator, that impacts you. And also the fact that even if you go to a family dinner, if you go somewhere, right, you're constantly taking photos, you are,
Yeah.
shooting something, like privacy gets very broken there. And you need to,
Right.
I learned, so over the time, right, I learned that I have to keep a balance between both. As a content creator, I see many people, and it's fine, right? Everybody chooses what they want to do in life. For me personally, and now I'm married as well, I have a husband. So even with my
Nice.
husband, right? It's always, I choose to be little bit more conscious of when I shoot content, when I take pictures, because otherwise it's limitless, right? You see online right now,
Hmm.
people are sharing everything, and the more the better,
Right.
right? Which is fine, whoever's doing it. But I personally felt I want to keep a balance because I want to, take care of my marriage as well and take care of my
Mm.
online content, but have balance between them. Don't be like constantly, yeah, photo, chalo, photo, selfie, let's take a selfie, let's take a selfie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that because I feel then I lose the moment I have with my friends, my families, or my husband. So that's how
Right.
I try to tackle it.
Hmm. Comedy genre की बात करें तो I think comedy is a very subjective topic. So how do you
Yeah.
come up with ideas, that is catering to diverse audience? Is there any creative process?
Honestly, every moment is a relatable moment. Anything that happens to me, I know maybe have other content creators have said that, but it's actually true. कुछ भी हर चीज, funny हो सकती है, right? It's just about how you're observing, how you're, aware about what is happening, right? Let's say if something happens to me, ऐसा like, oh यार, मेरे साथ ही हो रहा तो दूसरे लोग के साथ भी होता होगा. चलो इस पे कुछ बनाते हैं, right? So it's
Yeah.
mostly the more aware and observant you are, the more you can see comedy. Comedy is in every single moment. We as human beings are just not used to see it. But when you
Yeah.
see it with more depth, that can become a comedic moment, and that's what becomes relatable as well. So honestly, that's my
Right.
creative process. And of course, there are days as well, right, where I brainstorm with my team, ki kya bana sakte, right? We have to write scripts and all that. So of course, the creative process also being in nature, being out there. I feel when you're in an office space, there is not so much creativity you can come up with. But when you're outside in nature, wherever there is no construction noise,
Yeah.
that helps you a lot in, getting your juices flowing and stuff. So I think being in nature and just being observant and aware, these are my two creative processes.
Perfect, perfect. So that was very helpful, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to get benefit out of it. But in the end,
Amazing.
I want to do a rapid fire round with you. So, are
Ooh,
you ready for
okay,
it?
let's go. Yes, let's go. Nothing too
Okay.
sneaky, right?
One, no, no.
Okay, done.
So,
Okay.
one thing you wish people knew more about influencers.
That it's not an easy job.
Hmm. Right. Kusha Kapila, Dharna, or Dolly, your favorite content creator.
God, I can't choose. They're all unique and amazing. Please don't do this to me. I love everybody.
One,
I
one. You have
can't
to take
choose.
one
I
name.
can't. I can't choose. They're all sweet. Uh, okay, I say Dharna. I say Dharna for now. But I like Kusha
Hmm.
and Dolly as well. Okay, I really love them.
Yeah,
It's just really
of
unfair
course.
right now, huh? ठीक है.
All right. If you wouldn't be an influencer, what would you be?
Actor.
Influencer or an actor? Both
Achha,
not.
if I wouldn't be, I would be having a dog school teaching dogs. I love dogs.
Oh,
That's
wow.
what I would
That's
do.
very creative.
And I think
Um,
if I would really, really love dogs so much. Anyway, sorry, continue.
okay. One advice that you would give to budding content creators.
To never give up. I know it sounds very cliche, but we many times, underestimate ourselves. When a small challenge comes, we're like, oh shit, yeah, I can't do it. But always, kind of push yourself. Always stand up again, try again. Never just give up. Because sometimes what happens, we learn from whatever challenges come our way, we can grow from it and overcome it. So never give up.
Right.
I know this was not a short answer, but I still gave it.
No worries. That's completely fine. And last, one rumor about content creators, which is actually true.
One rumor about content creators is actually true. I think that we take a lot of selfies. I think that's definitely true. I know it sounds bad, but I mean, it's हमारा काम है यार. अब क्या
Of
करें? अब
course.
हर करना पड़ता
Yeah.
है selfies.
It also
हाँ,
pays your bills. Right.
exactly. हमको करना. People need to know what I'm wearing.
Yeah.
What is my outfit of the day? Not
Right.
for me as much, but still, you get the point.
Right. All right. So that was about it. It was lovely
Okay.
speaking to you. I really loved your vibe and keep creating content. It's really amazing to watch you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you've been absolutely adorable and sweet. Thank you so much for
Thank you so
having me here.
much.